Welcome back to the beautiful city of Toronto, Canada. Game 5 of the NBA Finals tonight on ABC. You see the fans out there, 20,000 strong, probably more than that before the game begins. That's Jurassic Park, ladies and gentlemen. It's raining, pouring raining outside. Trust me, I know. And still, they don't care. You see Kawhi Leonard right there, the superstar for the Toronto Raptors. Actually, looks like he got some new braids inserted up in there. Looking pretty sharp right there. Kyle Lowry, looking as focused as ever, ready to capture his first championship. Just 48 minutes away. Game time from that, by the way. Of course, we got a drip scale here. Look at Steph coming in. Look at how dapper the man is right there. Ready, got the headphones on. That is not a golf outfit, ladies and gentlemen. That is not the sunshine of Oakland, California, the Bay Area. He's got his suit on, business, focus, ready to handle his business. So elimination is not something he's talking about once this game is over tonight. Inside the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto Raptors. Welcome, everybody. It's your man, the one and only Stephen A. Smith. And yes, I am rooting for Game 5. I'm not going to deny it, but it is not because I am hating on the Toronto Raptors. It is because, quite honestly, I'm looking forward to doing more of the Sports Center specials hosted by yours truly. Game 6 is obviously scheduled for Oakland Thursday night. We'll see if anything happens with that. You know what time it is. A lot of stuff is coming up. Let me tell you what's coming on tonight. Jay Williams, he'll join us momentarily because we've got some KD news to talk about. Mark Jackson will be along as well. PTI's Michael Wilbon will be here as well. And maybe, just maybe, a special guest might end up joining us before this show is over. That's a tease, y'all, in case y'all didn't figure that out. But it's time for my state of mind going into Game 5 of the NBA Finals. And it's very, very simple to me. KD has arrived. And KD, if he is going to play tonight, because it's a game-time decision, let's face reality. KD at 70% is better than 90% of the entire NBA. He's that big time. As far as I'm concerned, he's a potential difference maker. We know what Kawhi Leonard has been doing. We know the balanced offensive attack Toronto has been putting forth. We see what they've done defensively and collectively, and obviously Nick Nurse deserves a lot of credit. But we also understand who the Golden State Warriors are officially without Kevin Durant. They're a great team, but not necessarily a championship team. He is the reigning two-time NBA Finals MVP. They are the reigning two-time defending NBA champions. And when you have KD, if nothing else, you have hope. That's my state of mind, ladies and gentlemen. It's just simple. And who better to bring in to talk about my state of mind and where my mindset is than the one and only Jay Williams. By the way, former National Player of the Year, Wooden Award winner, All-American National Champion, and obviously a great basketball analyst, and also somebody that's very close to KD. What does KD being back for this game mean to you?
First off, he's the most gifted scorer I've ever seen in the game of basketball because of that 7-foot wingspan and how he's able to play. He can get to any spot on the court. But with him last night, though, I'll tell you, there's an anxiety that you feel around here for Game 5, a chance to close out game. I did not feel any of that last night. I felt a poised, young KD that knew who he was. I think he said it this year. Y'all know who I am. I'm Kevin Durant. This is not the same Kevin Durant a couple of years ago that's still finding himself. This is the guy that understands he's the most lethal scorer on the planet. I think him being on the court, he wants to rise to that occasion. He wants this Game 5. He wants a Game 6 and a Game 7.
You work out with players, you know players. You're a former player yourself, obviously, but you're obviously also very, very close to KD. You know him better than most. Talk to us about his health from the standpoint of where he was just a couple of weeks ago to where he is now based on what you've seen over the last 48 hours.
I did not see him work out, but I did hear him say that at times he felt like he was in his bag during the one-on-one practice. He felt like he can get to where he wanted to go. Now, conditioning, that's going to be a question. I mean, NBA Finals conditioning is a question for everybody when you come off injury. We've seen Boogie struggle with that. But I think if Steve Kerr can utilize him properly, that also makes Kawhi, who is a little bit hobbled. Now Kawhi has to defend him. That could take away from what Kawhi needs to do on the offensive end as well.
What do you expect from Steph Curry in this game, considering the fact that it's 3 full days off between games 4 and 5, particularly now that he'll have KD to lean on at least a little bit?
A more efficient Steph Curry. And I give Nick Nurse a lot of credit for this, though, Stephen A., because in Game 4, that's the 48-hour layoff, okay? What they did is they created a faster tempo in Game 4 to really get to the legs of Stephen Curry. You saw him struggle, even though Klay was on fire. I think with 3 days of rest, now having KD back on the floor, now having Klay being the player he was, now having Andre Andre Iguodala, who doesn't need to play 30-plus minutes. He can come off the bench to get some more depth with the layering off the bench now. I think it allows Steph to be more efficient with the shots he takes, not being a volume scorer.
Well, look at that Fred VanVleet warm up out there. He's had a pretty decent series. Very tough. We saw what he did in the conference finals, especially after his child was born. He shot 82% from three-point range. But getting back to the Golden State Warriors, I'm looking at KD tonight. What are you expecting from him minutes-wise?
I think he's going to give you whatever he needs to give you. This is Game 5 of the NBA Finals, S.A. Nobody's coming out here to play jokes. I know there might be some kind of minute count that Steve Kerr might do, but if you're Kevin Durant, he's going to want to be on the floor as much as possible because he wants to put in work, and that's what it should be. That's what you're asking him to do. And I'll tell you what else about Fred VanVleet, because I know you just mentioned him. How about the job he's been doing on Stephen Curry?
Yeah.
I mean, when he guards Stephen Curry, Curry's shooting 31% from the three-point line, from the field goal line, 21% from the three. When somebody else is not guarding him, other than Fred VanVleet, he's shooting 47% from the field, 43% from the three-point line.
Especially when that guy's Kyle Lowry. You got to get on out here, enjoy the game. Appreciate you. The one and only Jay Williams right here with Stephen A. Look at Jurassic Park. Everybody's looking up there and see them warming up. Look at that crowd out there right now. Boy, are they ready. They don't care about the bad weather. They don't care about it at all. They are ready to go, and so am I, and so is this show, because we have one of the great basketball analysts and a wonderful person, the lovely Doris Burke, standing right next to me. Doris, how are you? First of all, it's great to see you. Thank you for the great work. Talk to me about how surprised you are that the Golden State Warriors sit here tonight, Game 5, down 3-1, even though they haven't had Kevin Durant.
Well, I didn't have the conviction that Jalen Rose had. He predicted at the start of the series that they were going to win. I thought they absolutely had a chance, especially because of the condition of Kevin Durant. We're talking about one of the great scorers, the Finals MVP. But to be honest with you, even as we stand here, I'm a little bit surprised. And here's the reality. This will be the hardest game to win, right? Sometimes if you're the Toronto Raptors, you've got the champs on the ropes now. But that knockout punch, the hardest one to throw, right, Kevin? For Kevin?
Listen,
come on, Stephen A.
I totally get you, but I guess what I'm thinking about is also this. I think the winner of this game wins the championship. I think if you're the Toronto Raptors, this is your best chance, because I think that with Kevin Durant coming back, if you give up this game and give Golden State any momentum, if the system for Game 6 and then Game 7 coming back here, Kawhi Leonard has experience, Danny Green has experience, but none of these guys have the experience of a Game 7 besides those two in a finals, and that's my concern.
What I'm curious about is, what is the reaction if Kevin Durant makes shots early? Because we know this. Kevin Durant can make shots in his sleep.
That's right.
And I think as long as he gets to his spots, which it sounds, listening to Jay Will, who was with him last night, that he thinks he's going to be able to get to his spots. He's talking about that release point. His release point, very few guys, maybe Giannis Antetokounmpo is the one guy who can get in his space and close down to Kevin Durant. But you make a great point. Listen, this is the hardest game to get if you're the Toronto Raptors. Now you're dealing with Kevin Durant, Stephen A. Smith. That's a different animal. What has happened in this series to me, as you see Kevin
you see him arriving in the arena now?
What we have seen is a team in the Golden State Warriors who in this round have been one of the worst teams in the half court. That changes with Kevin Durant because your defensive assignments move up. Now Kawhi Leonard's attention is going toward Kevin Durant.
How surprised have you been with Nick Nurse? One of the things that I've noticed, I think the brilliant move that he made was starting VanVleet in the second half of Games 3 and 4 because the Golden State Warriors have had their way with people in the third quarter. I thought a move like that was quite brilliant on his part, but I don't think that's something that's going to be enough for you in a game that Kevin Durant is effective. What's your mindset about this game in regards to whatever adjustments Nick Nurse may try to make?
Yeah, I think he's been brilliant, number one. I had somebody ask me, has he outcoached Steve Kerr? Like right after Game 1, I thought, can we settle back a little bit? Because I thought the bones of Game 1's defensive game plan for Golden State were pretty good. I think they're going to mix the looks. The other thing I would do, I'd do two things. I would keep the pace fast because you want to test the calf, and I would make sure Kevin Durant is having to guard a lot. So whoever he's checking, that person's going to be in the action because as many minutes as he's on the floor, Stephen A., I want to test Kevin Durant.
Very few people, as far as I'm concerned, in this world are more composed than you. You're big on composure, Doris. I must ask you, looking at Toronto, seeing how focused and composed they are, very impressive. We've heard a lot of stuff about the Warriors, not so much in terms of composure. Some questions in the locker room about Kevin Durant coming from other players, things of that nature. Watching this team perform, watching them go to timeouts, things of that nature, have you sensed them being a little bit different, a little bit less composed than in the years that you've covered?
Can I address the first point you make about the Toronto Raptors?
Please.
Because I think you're 100% accurate. And it goes back to game one when Pascal Siakam, in the post-game interview, he had no emotion. The guy scores 30 in his first finals run, and he was absolutely calm as a cucumber, and not once have these guys walked off the floor and celebrated. So they got business to do. Number two, I would say this. I feel as though the Golden State Warriors organization has been pretty consistent in their reporting about Kevin Durant. But it is the nature of reporting to try to speculate and guess and maybe put out, okay, he's not going to play game 3, but that means he's going to play game 4. That can put a question mark into the teammates, right? Because they're reading the newspapers just like you and I are. And so have they been less composed? No. But do I think that they are physically and mentally worn down from 5 straight years of the finals? Yes, I think you see the toll on them, both physically and mentally.
Doris Burke, thank you for the wonderful job
Stephen
you do.
A. My first run with Stephen A. I am so psyched.
And I'm honored. Thank you so much, Doris. Enjoy the game.
Right.
The lovely Doris Burke, wonderful Doris Burke right here with Stephen A. NBA special. Here comes Draymond.
I'm hearing, here comes Draymond. There he is. Now, see, that's a guy like there that looks like he's going to play golf in the cold. Look at those pants. I try to tell you his wardrobe. It's challenged. And look at my man Mark Jackson rocking the pink. I don't know what it is, but it looks good. It looks good. Mark Jackson up next. A lot more to come. Stick around. Kawhi Leonard has been awesome this series, but the difference maker has been that he's had help. In each of the Raptors' 3 wins, at least one of his teammates has gone for 20 points. For the Warriors, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are the only players with a 20-point game in these NBA Finals. Speaking of Klay, we see him walking in there, same look, no nonsense, all business. We have to take him seriously. 28 points, 6 of 10 shooting from three-point range. On one leg, we see DeMarcus Cousins out there practicing. Lord knows he needs to practice. Keep shooting that J, DeMarcus. Keep shooting that J. And, of course, the one and only Kawhi Leonard, postseason, 31.1 points per game. Absolutely awesome, without question. Another person who's done an awesome job is the basketball analyst extraordinaire calling the game, scheduled to call the game tonight. ABC with Mike Green, Jeff Van Gundy, the one and only Mark Jackson. What's going on, Mark? How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Talk to me right now about what our expectation should be from the Golden State Warriors since Kevin Durant is expected to return tonight.
Well, we don't know what Kevin Durant is going to bring to the table, how healthy he is. At the same time, he's going to bring energy, effort, and enthusiasm. I think we're going to see an energy burst from the entire Warriors staff and players because of the availability of Kevin Durant. He's a difference maker. At the same time, if I'm the Toronto Raptors, my mindset is I'm not going to allow you to get healthy. I'm not going to allow you to get whole or gain any life. I'm going to look to take advantage and win this series.
So what does that mean, Mark Jackson? When you say you're not going to allow him to get healthy, you're not going to allow him to get comfortable, what exactly would you do to create an elevated level of discomfort to really test that calf of Kevin Durant? Give us the insight.
He's an all-time great player, so it's a different level that I'm aware of. But I can fully attest to the fact that if you have a month off, you cannot possibly come back the same type of player. So if I was Toronto, I'm going after him offensively, I'm going after him defensively. He hasn't seen double teams in a month. He hasn't seen guys like Kawhi Leonard go at him in a month. So that's the type of pressure you got to put on him. Don't allow him to flow into this game.
Excuse me, Queens, New York.
Why are you backpedaling?
Queens, New York is in the building. I want some more dirt. Tell the truth. Are you sitting there bodying him up? Are you kneeing the calf a little bit? Are you engaging in some of the tactics that, dare we say, is not necessarily savory in today's NBA? What exactly? Are you doing a little bit more? Give it to me straight, Mark Jackson. You ain't playing. They can't find you.
You're right about that. Old school basketball, we're going at him. Physically, mentally, we're doing everything we possibly can to get him off his game and put pressure on him. Not doing anything dirty or illegal, but he's going to feel it.
When you look at the Toronto Raptors, what has surprised you about them other than Kawhi Leonard? Basically him doing what he's doing. That wasn't a surprise necessarily. But is there anything else that has stood out of your mind as to what has made them so effective that is a surprise to you?
The most important thing for me as a surprise to the Raptors, not their talent, not their depth, not their defensive intensity. It's how they're handling things. You ask them a question. They're not getting rattled. They're acting like they've been here before. This is new to this team, and nothing in the way that they're acting or approaches the game tells you that it's new to them.
And why do you think they've been that way from the very beginning of this series?
The example set by Kawhi Leonard. Doesn't get rattled, doesn't say much. I don't care what you ask him. He answers in the right way, and it's from an old school guy. You embrace it, you appreciate it, and you applaud it.
It's interesting because even though he doesn't say much, you can lead by example, and nobody's denying that Kawhi Leonard does that. And we also can't deny that he's an upgrade from DeMar DeRozan. But a player of his magnitude, just by performing on the court, do they really have the power to create that kind of change in a personality of a team?
You know it was different walking to the park with your boy.
That's right.
Your legitimate boy than just the fellas around the way. But when you had the one that was the baddest in the neighborhood, is a different strut in the park. And they are well aware of the fact that they have arguably the best guy in the league in Kawhi Leonard the way he's playing right now.
Did Steph Curry perform in the subpar manner that he performed in Game 4 because of fatigue, or was it something that Toronto did?
I thought it was a combination. Here's a guy that got 47 in the previous game. They put a demand on his body. They put pressure on him, and you saw the after effect going into the next ball game. But give the Toronto Raptors credit. They are disciplined defensively. They're not getting open looks, and at times they're double teaming him, trying to force him to get rid of the basketball. So it was a combination of both.
We know what we're all hoping for from KD this series. What are your expectations for him in this game based on the injury that he's coming off?
From what I understand, he always targeted Game 5, and that was his mindset. He's had 2 a day since then building up to this opportunity, so he feels healthy and whole and feels like this is the targeted date for him. I expect to see Kevin Durant not play like Kevin Durant, but give them much more of a spark plug offensively, give them breathers on in the middle of the game, make sure you're not putting a demand or asking him to do too much too early. But the other guys got to pick it up. But he is an absolute upgrade from what they've had.
We know what to expect from KD, Clay, Steph. Is it really about them, or is there somebody that you consider to be the X factor in this game that we haven't mentioned yet?
If it's a full Kevin Durant, then it's about those guys. If it's not, I think the X factor is Draymond Green. He's got to take and make open shots. He's got to do what he did in Game 2 and also in the Portland series, rebound, initiate offense by pushing it down to throw to the defense, making plays for Clay and Steph, getting them open looks.
But isn't that asking a lot? He's only shooting like about 20% from three-point range or so. So what can he do? What does he need to do in order to be effective outside of making perimeter shots, because we can't count on them to make those perimeter shots?
But shoot the shots. You're playing against a team that's daring you to beat them. It's wide open shots. It's practice shots. Step in with confidence and aggressiveness, and then be that monster that you've been. You said you're the best defensive player that's ever played this game. Well, last time I looked, Kawhi Leonard is having his way. Take it personal. Say he's mine. The rest of y'all take care of your business.
Especially since he did that when Pascal Siakam dropped 32 in Game 1. If you're going to say that about Pascal Siakam, how about saying that about Kawhi Leonard? Isn't that what you would tell him as his former coach?
That's a different animal, though. But I would tell him that, but that's a different animal.
All right, last question for you. When we look at the Toronto Raptors real quickly, about outside of Kawhi Leonard, who are you expecting to step up for them?
Marc Gasol's got to be the presence on the offensive end, whether it be on the block or shooting open threes, but he's got to be aggressive. When they had success, he's been a difference.
Appreciate it, man. Good luck on the game. Appreciate you as always, my man. The one and only Mark Jackson right here with Stephen A. Let's get to it. We know we see KD. He's arrived. He's going to step on the court in just a little bit. He's walking into the arena right now. Seems to be walking like he normally does. It's going to be real interesting to see him. Got more to come. Stick around. Stephen A. Smith, NBA Special, live from Toronto in a minute.